Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. Welcome back to finally a pretty day here in West Virginia. There's a deer just kind of hanging out over here. Let's see if we can get it to come to us. Yeah, that deer did not want to be friends with me. But anyway, like I was saying, we've had the craziest weather here over the past week. We had like tornado and high winds, tornado warning and watch. We usually don't get tornadoes here in West Virginia, especially southern West Virginia, too much. And then it snowed yesterday, and now it's like 65 degrees and sunny today. So welcome to April in West Virginia. So what we're going to be doing today, I'm going to take you guys for a little drive in my S197 Mustang. Had it on the channel a couple times, going to be featured more prominently, and I want to tell you exactly why I ended up not getting rid of this car when that was the exact reason that I bought it. So let's hop in the car, go for a drive, and I'm going to tell you guys a little story. All right guys, so I just want to tell you guys a story about how I got this car and my plans for it initially, and now kind of where I'm at now. Now, like I said before, this is a 2012 S197 California special car. I got it for a pretty good deal. One of my friends that works at the local dealership called me and said this guy was going to trade this car in. He wasn't happy with what they was going to offer him, but he was buying a Jeep and wanted to know if I wanted to buy it for just a little bit more than what the trade-in value was. Luckily, I had just sold my F250, the gray one that we got from Copart, just a couple days before that. Now, if you have followed me on social media or you know me personally for the past couple years, I've been a very big LS platform. That is what I've owned. Had a bunch of WS6s, had a bunch of C5 Corvettes. I bought the C6 Corvette, but I always wanted to try out like the Coyote platform, because before I got into the LS scene, I had owned several like SN95s, S281 Mustangs, and a ton of Fox bodies in the past. Like that was what, you know, my kind of sports car of choice was the Mustang growing up. And then after I bought that first LS car, I kind of got away from Mustangs. I'm not one of those people that's like really brand loyal. It's like if that's, you know, your thing, you won't even consider anything else. That's not me. I'm kind of an automotive enthusiast. I appreciate all brands and, you know, pretty much what all brands bring to the table. Now, there are some cars that are very disappointing we'll talk about, you know, in a future video, because we're going to do these a couple times. But for this car right here, I went down, test drove it. It had just the very slightest kind of hitch going into fifth gear. And I know that the MT82 in these cars, because this is a 6-speed car, is a little weak. This is the factory shifter, factory clutch. I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it, or it kind of, maybe it's just a synchronizer. So anyway, once I get further into this car, I'm going to do a clutch, I'm going to do a shifter, and I will fix the transmission at that time if need be. So anyway, I won the test drive. I was kind of impressed because I'd never drove a Coyote car before, and I had my C6 already, so I was kind of comparing it to that. Granted, it didn't handle as good as what my C6 does, but you know, that's not a fair comparison, because, you know, the Vetta's made more for that, and that's not to take away from this car, because this car handles, you know, for as big of a car as it is, just physically big, and this is not lowered and has no suspension mods. This actually handles quite well. Does have a lot of body roll in the corners, but you'll have that until you do some suspension mods on these cars. So on the test drive, I was, you know, pretty impressed. The sound of these cars, I love the sound of the Coyote platform, but all Mustangs, you know, over the years have just sounded amazing. It's one of the best sounding cars on the road. This particular one has a Roush muffler delete, and it has a K&N cold air intake, and it's completely stock other than that. I put that shift knob on, but that's like not a mod. It's nothing, you know. But other than that, this car is completely stock besides the wheels. It has SVE wheels on it, which I really like. But anyway, on the test drive, you know, I was kind of unsure about it. Texted all of my buddies that had these cars, and they was like, you know, you're going to love that car. I know, you know, you're a big Corvette guy now, but you're going to love that Coyote. So they kind of told me the problems to look out for and all of that. So I did. I kind of went over the car, and the only real flaw that I could find, and at the time it had 98,000 miles on it, was the little hitch going into fifth gear. And like I said, it doesn't do it at low RPMs. It only does it at high RPMs. It does grind going in, but it stays in, it doesn't kick out. So that was like the biggest issue. But the car was, I bought the car for like $5 grand under what it booked for. So, you know, the the value was there in this car, even with that little problem. So now, currently, we're sitting at 104,864 miles. So needless to say, since October, I've put a little over 6,000 miles on this car, and I had never intended to keep this car that long. Like, I bought it that cheap, somewhat cheap, to flip it and try to make 1,000 or two, because I do that every once in a while. If I find a good deal, I'll buy a car, I'll do a little bit to it, and then I will flip it, make a little bit of profit, and buy some mods for the other cars. So I started driving this car kind of on a daily basis. Since the C6, I've been doing some stuff too. I've still got my 3000 GT, but it needs some maintenance items finally, so I've left it parked. Same with the truck, it needed some maintenance, so this kind of took over daily driver, duties. Surprisingly enough, this car became like the perfect daily driver for me. It's not the fastest car in the world by any means. They can be fast, but by today's standards, when you got Hellcats and everything running around, this car isn't that fast compared to everything else. But when you're comparing it to other, like, 2012 models, this car, it's a lot of bang for your buck. This one here, like I said, is the GT California Special. So it has the leather, it has the heated seats, it has the Bluetooth with the sync and everything. It doesn't have navigation, and it doesn't have a sunroof, and it doesn't have Brembos, which I wish it did. More on that in a future video. But the value of this car for what you get, I don't think that you can match it with really anything else. The value is here. So if you're looking, and I know a lot of my Mustang people that watch my channel is going to watch this and say, hey, we already know all of this. But this is for those people that, maybe looking at the S197 platform and kind of questioning, hey, can you use that car every day? And the answer is absolutely yes. Like, this is my favorite car to drive. I like driving it more than my C6. I like driving it more than the 3000 GT, although that car is my baby. I like better than the truck, better than the Z3. This is just an all-around great car. Now, that being said, do not try to drive this car in the snow for obvious reasons. Stuff happened. I ended up having to try to get it out in the snow. Ended up, two guys from Indiana had to stop and push me, and once I got going, I made it to a parking lot where I could call for help to get a ride to go somewhere else, because this car is terrible in the snow. But it is rear-wheel drive. There's not a whole lot of weight over the rear end, so that comes with the territory of any rear-wheel drive, unless it's like a rear engine or mid-engine car to where you got a little bit of weight, does a little bit better. But if you were skeptical about this S197 platform, like I said, I was going to get rid of this car for just 1,000 or two over what I paid for it, and even had offers at that very quickly. But the more I drove this car, the more I took it on trips. This is the perfect daily driver. I cannot stress that enough. Like, fast, looks good, sounds good, has all the options that you want, at least in this one, and it's at a very, very affordable price. Like, I do think that the Coyote platform, S197, from 11 to 14 is the best bang for the buck right now, in that $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 price range. The 13s and 14s I do think look better than the 11s and 12s, and that's completely, just my opinion. I like the GT CS front end on this, but I am going to be converting it to a GT front bumper with the Roush fog lights and a cow hood, just because I prefer that look. But anyway, I know I'm rambling, but I can't stress enough like how much I love this car. That's coming from a pretty diehard LS platform, like fanboy, if you will, over the past couple of years. But this car has changed my outlook on, Mustangs now. I haven't drove the S550s that much. My buddy Josh has a S550, and I drove his like through the parking lot maybe, half a mile, and I like the feel of that car, but I've just liked the look of the S197. Fell in love with this car, and if you're looking for a reliable, quick, good looking, good sounding daily, look no farther than the S197 Mustang. And once you drive it, you're going to be hooked. couple mods. That's all it takes to make this the perfect all-around car. Sorry I've rambled on, but I just had to say all of that. So if you like this, if you like the channel, if you like the cars, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. The sun is in my eyes, and I'll see you guys on the next video.